Hi, this is MGDV, and I am Michelle Greenman, Women's Wellness Coach, and I teach women how to live fantastic lives healthfully by teaching them natural health steps and especially holistic health steps. And holistic health is what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So, this week I really wanted to talk about stress. Now, when I actually first got trained, I was told that I needed to lose a little bit of weight. Well, I didn't need to, but the nutritionist there became a really good friend of mine, and she said, you'll feel a lot better if you just lose 10 pounds. Now, I had lost a lot of weight before then, but had gained some of it back because I was in a car accident and I literally was on my back for 3 months. So I endeavored to lose 10 pounds in really over a few months, but I really didn't do enough until that last month to lose it. And so I actually wrote a book called Lose Weight, Gain Health, which I'll put the link below, on how I lost 10 pounds in 1 month and the steps that I used from the beginning when I first had lost all the weight, and especially what I used at the very end. So one of those steps is stress and how you deal with stress. And the reason why this is so important with health is because stress seems to be the number one killer, because there's so many things that happen when you're under chronic stress that affect you for a really long period of time. So for example, chronic stress means that you go through the type of fight, flight, or freeze reaction that you do if a bear was chasing you, or if there was a really stressful situation as far as like a divorce or buying a house or, gunshots, something that really scares you. If you go through that same type of process for days or weeks or months or years, so your body is meant to use up all of its extra energy to keep you alive if something really extreme happens. So for example, I live in a really rural place, so if I had a bear chasing me and or let's just not even say it's that extreme. Let's just say I see a bear. My heart rate is going to go up. My blood is going to go to my arms and my legs. My brain, I'm going to be thinking really quickly. But I use these same type of skills when I'm working on a job or a presentation. So before I was a health and wellness coach, I was a teacher. And when you're teaching, I try to tell people when they're first starting out, like tutoring or teaching, like it can be extremely tiring because your brain is pretty much on every single second trying to challenge your students, keep them from doing something crazy because you're in charge of them. You want to make sure they're safe and they're happy and they're engaged, and you're really thinking really quickly, and you're having to be very witty and figure out things quickly and know what time it is and really be able to balance a lot of things at one time. And it really takes a lot of energy to do that. And that type of kind of stressful situation is incredibly rewarding. And that's another hint about stress. I'll get to that in a second. But it uses up a lot of energy and it can be tiring. So literally 4 to 5 hours a day of teaching, like actual on-the-job teaching, feels like 8 hours if you're just in an office and you don't really have to talk to a lot of people because you're using different types of skills. But that, like if you did that for 8 hours a day, for every single day, for weeks, and you never took a vacation, that's enough stress to be prolonged stress. And so the amazing part about stress, I kind of touched on it, is whether you have good stress or bad stress, and there are 2 types of stress, now to teach that too, is eustress or distress. Usually when we talk about stress, we're really talking about distress. But the difference between good stress, like teaching, which I love, and every time that I get to see that light bulb go off on top of a child's head or an adult's head, because I taught adults too, it was amazing to me. It just gave me this warm, fuzzy feeling. It makes me feel so rewarded. But while you're doing that for extended parts of time, it gets wearied. It really tires my body. It tires my mind. I need to leave the situation and pretty much go lay down for a while after you really want to take your weekend seriously. So, but it's a wonderful experience and I love it, right? This is eustress. It still gets you drained a little bit. It still can tire you out, but it's really fulfilling. Distress is when you have these horrible things happen to you. So eustress might be a wedding. Distress might be a divorce, right? Eustress might be a birth. Distress might be a death. It's the way we see things. And the funny thing is sometimes we have these guilty feelings when we don't feel as bad as we think we should. But that's fantastic, because the difference between eustress and distress is perception, the way you see it in your mind. And so sometimes people see a divorce as a really good thing, as a way to part. They can see a death as a release. And I mean, I had a friend of mine, she told me that her dad just died, and he was like 105. You know, as sad as that is, that's a release. It's amazing that he lived a fulfilling life, and it's fantastic that you get to celebrate his life. And so it's not necessarily going to cause the same type of feelings as distress, like, you know, losing a job can actually feel worse in some ways. But it's all based on your perception, because sometimes losing a job is the best thing to happen. So for me, I was in this car accident and it really shook up my life, but it was the best thing to happen. And I'm glad it happened. I'm glad I got to change and do what I'm doing now. So about stress. You really need to make sure that one of two things are happening. You are changing your distress into eustress. You're changing the way you see the things that are happening, and you're happy that they're happening. And the second thing is you need to support your body so that when you do go through stressful situations, you have reserves to take care of you. Because the effects that you get from stress, like emotional problems and physical problems and even spiritual distress, if there's too much stress, you don't want to be getting all the time. And that comes from having a reserve and having that protection around you before you get into that stressful situation. And so that would look like foods, eating certain foods. Exercise is a big one, drinking water, having a support system around you. I mean, it's something that I literally almost takes me 3 months to teach my clients how to really depend on other people, because they're used to doing so many things by themselves. But when you become a client, I give you emergency email support, a way to contact me whenever things are happening, and also our group that allows you to post 24 hours a day what's going on and get that support. And so it's amazing that we're so not used to having that for months, most of my clients, I have to remind them, let me know what's happening. Let me be able to help you. Let me give you good advice in between. Don't wait till the end of it. But having that support system is incredibly helpful when you're going through distress or eustress, to really share the happy things. So deal with your stress. One of the reasons that stress is really connected with weight is stress really boosts your cortisol level, and cortisol encourages your body to add fat around your midsection. And so that can easily become a really bad vicious cycle where you get stressed and your body actually puts more fat around your middle, and you feel bad about yourself and you eat, and the food you eat makes you more stressed, and that cycle is crazy. I've been there. So you want to break it with one of those two things, or really the best would be both. If you haven't worked with me, I love to do one thing at a time. So pick something that's important, get support on that one thing, and move forward. It will change everything else in your life. So stop stressing. Do something active today to get rid of stress. So that could be, like I said, drinking more water is really simple, but if you're not drinking enough, it will make a big difference in how your brain thinks and how able you are to handle things. Start building your support system, right? Contact me. I would love to go through some of your problems with you and create a plan on how they can become better. It's one of the most fun things that I get to do in my job. I really have a brain for it. I love it. So reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you. Find somebody else in around you that you might not be even talking to, that you can support, because one of the most amazing things about giving to others is you actually get this release yourself. Get a pet. Petting animals actually reduces your amount of stress amazingly, but it's a really good way to handle it. I would suggest, if you haven't had a pet before and you're not sure you can handle a puppy, maybe get a kitten, or maybe get an older pet because they can be very challenging, and we don't want more stress, we want less stress. So get control of your stress. It will help you with almost every problem. If you see the list of things that happens to you when you get stressed, you will start to want to change it. Maybe I'll post that below. So have a wonderful week. This week, focus on your stress. Get a handle of it, get some support, figure it out. And if you're wondering why the background of it is a little different, I actually moved. If you're on my newsletter list, if you're not on my newsletter list, get on my newsletter list. I give some really cool tips and tricks and things that I do, especially in my mind, to really be healthier and happier. But I moved to my new house, so I'm actually in my new office. These two words were actually here when I got here. I didn't put these out, so pretty cool. And I'll see you next week. Have a fantastic week. If you need help figuring out how to reduce your stress, click the link below, contact me, tell me what's going on, and we will talk soon. Bye.